this is Stacy B. We are back for part 2 of our first Fragmented Life interview with Jezebel. So we're going to jump right in and continue where we left off. We've talked about the social impact of living a fragmented life and being an artist. So let's talk about the physical impact. Do you find that living this way has an impact physically on your life in terms of increased anxiety or stress, feeling scattered, forgetful, overtired, those kinds of things?
Oh, absolutely.
Next.
Pretty much check.
Okay.
Yeah, but because of the way that your life has to be pieced together, you do end up becoming scatterbrained. I mean, you forget things quite often. You have a lot of anxiety that builds up, and a lot of depression as well. It's like, I'm not good enough, I can't do this,
right.
Just because there's so much activity going on, and looking at what you have to do in the future, and then trying to look back at what you've done, and it's like, okay, and what can I actually take on right now at this moment? And you're trying to live moment to moment, but your brain kind of just splits off in all of these directions. So there's definitely a lot. The constant stress on your body as well.
Because you take the bus or the train most places, right?
Yes, I do take public transportation most places, which I actually find to be more beneficial. Taking the trolley or the bus actually gives me a little bit of a padding in between my activities to help me process and to get into the mode of the next
That's a really
phase.
good point. That's a really good point.
That's actually helpful for me, the fact that I don't own a car, that I don't drive myself places, or that I'm seeking rides from somebody else. It gives me a little bit of that buffer that I can switch the thoughts, like I can switch the way my brain is processing things, and it's kind of like I've got to do this manually.
Right, well, it's a bit of a respite. You got some breathing space, so, and not to mention the rejection, which is tough on the Constitution, so to speak. You go and you prepare for an audition for something, you win, you give it all you've got, and you don't get that call back. And that's a regular occurrence. That's not just something that happens once.
It is a regular occurrence, and I think there's also a lot to be said for the waiting game. Even if you don't have an immediate, I'm called back or I'm not called back, there's a million balls in the air at every single time,
right.
And keeping them all floating and playing that waiting game of when one is going to fall. If you can catch it, I mean, it's rough, that keeping in that place of constant uncertainty, not knowing.
Absolutely, because I've joked for years, you just need to glue your feet to the surfboard and wait until that bitch crashes on the shore, because it will at some point.
Yeah.
And hopefully there is a cabana boy with a cocktail waiting for you when you finally crash on the shore. But that's what it's like. It's constant unknown, constant uncertainty. And I laugh at friends who are like, they've applied for a job and they're waiting 2 weeks for a reply. I'm like,
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Try having a play submitted a year ago and you still haven't, they haven't made a decision yet for various and sundry reasons. So, do you find it hard to be healthier living this way?
Yes. There's a lot that, especially with those mental stressors, it is harder to be healthier. And unfortunately, there's a lot of stigma, especially for those of us in the arts. There's a stigma around any kind of mental health issue in general.
Right.
But in the arts, it's like, the starving artist, and you're supposed to be tormented in this idea that you're not supposed to actually have a fulfilling life experience.
Well, how dare you? Because I'm working a 50-hour-a-week job that I hate with a passion. Why the hell should you be doing what you love and happy?
Yes, but that tortured artist thing
right.
is very much a real
Absolutely.
presence, and so being healthy in that particular manner is really hard, but also just the physical demands that it takes, especially for the things that I do, being that they're performing performance based. My body has to be in top condition, but how do you do that whenever you're always on the go? You never have time to replenish yourself. Your body's just like in a constant state of, oh, I'm in fight or flight, so we're not going to absorb those nutrients.
Well, and you know what, that's a really, really good point, and that's one of the reasons in the book I want to talk about the anthropological effects, because you are in constant fight or flight, which means more adrenaline is being produced, more cortisol is being produced. It's a really challenging way to live on a physical level.
Yeah, people are like, oh, you're so fit, and I'm like, I'm actually at my fattest right now. I want you to know that. I'm at my fattest that I've ever been in my entire life. Because
the cortisol, right, the cortisol makes it very, very difficult. All right, let's move on to the psychological and spiritual impact. Do you ever feel like choosing this lifestyle means that you're kind of a Peter Pan, not willing to grow up? Because I've heard that from adults.
Oh, yes. The adult has told me that, yeah, I'm unwilling to grow up. I've been named many things according to other people and judged on that. However, I think, in a sense, yes, I can understand that whole idea of Peter Pan. There's always a sense of hope. Mm-hmm. You have to go into an audition with some sort of hope that you're going to get the job. If you don't, then that reads in your audition, and then you're definitely not getting the job. Right? So you have to have some kind of spark, that childlike flame, fire, if you will, of presenting yourself as being a very hopeful and childlike, taking in the joys.
Right.
That kind of feeling has to accompany you no matter what. However, I also think that there's not really room to be Peter Pan about this life, because it's not realistic to think, oh, I'm always going to get this job, or I'm always going to have the ability to do this. There is no 401k. That you have to be prepared. I'm never going to retire. All of this stuff, this weighs on you, knowing that, hey, I want a house. That's something that I actually want in my life. I want something somewhat steady like
right.
that. I want to have a car. I want to have the things that most adults want. But I know that realistically, not Peter Pan, because that is
right.
not being an adult.
Right.
I know that realistically, from the adult standpoint, that I'm not going to have those things. I'm not going to have that, what a normal life looks like, with having the house, the 2.5 kids, the dog, the car, and the 2 garages. I mean, that's not realistic. And for me to think that would be Peter Pan.
No, you're right, because there's a difference between childlike and childish.
Yes.
And I think you just very articulately, is that a word?
Yeah.
Articulately describe the difference between those two things. And in talking about normal, I mean, I just came out of my mouth the other day, I was talking to someone, and I said, well, he's normal. And by normal, I mean he hides his neuroses better than everybody else. Because that's really what normal means. You just hide your crap better than other people, that's all. All right, I know we're approaching 10 minutes, so let's just pick one more question here. Here's a good one. What are some of the well-intentioned but insensitive remarks others have made regarding how you live your life? And you don't have to identify them, although you're welcome to if you would like.
Oh yeah. There's been quite a few. I mean, I can't pay you, but it's great exposure.
Right.
My favorite.
Yes, absolutely.
I can't pay you, but it's great exposure. You want a handout. Just you don't respect what I do. You want a handout.
Precisely, because if they felt there was value in what they wouldn't go to Giant Eagle, which is the grocery store here in Pittsburgh, and say, I will gladly pay you on Tuesday for a pound of ham today. They wouldn't do that. So, Anything else before we wrap up?
Oh, there's a million. It's not a real job. It's easy for you. You're so talented, whatever the hell that even means. Oh, so you're a glorified waiter.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. Or, oh, will you do this at Jimmy's birthday party? Sing something for me. No.
Yes.
I get paid to do this.
Right.
I was trained to do this. You pay for my training.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing those, because I don't know that there are many of us who've been doing this for a while who haven't heard those exact words or something similar. So I really appreciate your time today. This was a lot of fun, and I hope those who are watching have even a slightly better idea of what it's like not to have a 9-to-5 and to have an art that you have to do, right? It's not really a choice at the end of the day. It doesn't feel like that, right?
Oh no, as I said, I tried to do the 9-to-5. I really tried, and if you don't have to be an artist, don't do it. That's my biggest...
I know, seriously.
Seriously.
That's your best advice.
My biggest advice to anybody is don't be an artist.
Right.
Like, this is a hell.
But the rewards are there.
Oh,
you know,
right.
sitting here and getting to do something like this.
Oh,
You know, Jez was in one of my plays, or a staged reading of one of my plays earlier this year. You know, and getting to do those kinds of things, that's the kind of thing that makes it worthwhile. So
for me, what makes it worthwhile is that what I do is, at the end of the day, I reflect society back to itself.
absolutely, a mirror is always your best friend. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next edition of The Fragmented Life.